Hey friends, I'm Laura Kashner and you're listening to the Simplified podcast. If you're looking for a quiet place where you can filter out the noise and the hustle, this is it. Every week we invite you to slow down and join us to explore practical ways to organize and automate the complicated parts of life so you can focus on what truly matters most. Are you and your kiddos gearing up for a great school year ahead? Great school years start with a great attitude and maybe a good plan or two. That's why I am living my life in my simplified planner these days, especially as we're gearing up for back to school. Every morning, I do a brain dump of everything I need to get done and keep track of that day. I may not cross everything off my list, but I sure feel better seeing everything at a glance. And y'all, I may be biased, but doesn't it make planning more fun when you can just do it in a beautiful planner? Just saying. Whether you're looking for help planning your days or your weeks at Simplified, we've got you covered. Head over to emilylay.com right now to get your favorite new planner today. Wow, where did the summer go? I swear I ask myself that every year, but I just can't help it. It seems like we're just counting the days down to days on the lake, to too many popsicles, and now I'm just staring down another school year. It's bittersweet. I love the freedom of summer, but after a while, it feels nice to wind everything down and get back to days with a little bit more structure. Around this time of year, I can't help but think about all the first days of school that we've encountered in the past. How my girls have picked their outfits, packed their backpacks, and headed off happily to a brand new year to learn and make memories in their classrooms and with their friends. It makes my heart tug a bit when I watch them head off to school, even though I've had a few years of practice. I wonder what they're learning that day. I'm wondering if they're having a good day, the ones where they feel confident answering a question in front of the class or nailing a multiplication table pop quiz. I'm wondering how they're feeling as they break for lunch or recess. Who are they sitting with today? Who are they playing with today? Is everyone being kind to each other? Oof, I wonder so much because there's so much I can't control when my girls walk out the door in the morning. That's especially true when it comes to their friendships. I look at Addison, who just turned 11 and is getting ready for middle school. I remember how I felt at that age, still like a little girl, but also noticing things I hadn't before, getting talks about my body and how it's changing or will change pretty soon. In some ways, it felt like the dynamics of the classroom and the relationships were changing around me too. What I liked and who I liked were changing, and I didn't really know why. It was like I was on a roller coaster, and every day the track was a little bit different, and I just kind of had to hang on for the ride. In the midst of so much change, physical, mental, social, it's no wonder that relationships among kids change so much. It seems like there are so many shifting alliances, or someone's mad at someone else. Then the next day, they're best friends again. And as an adult, this all feels baffling. I'm thinking my lucky stars, I don't have to go back to being 11 years old and trying to make and keep friends. But my heart aches that my 11-year-old has to do this now. Being a mom is tough. Duh. I know you know this. Addison's my oldest, and in so many ways, I'm learning how to be a mom, just like she's learning how to be a kid and how to be a person. Every day, it feels like I'm learning how to help her navigate a new phase. But honestly, my job hasn't changed all that much if I think about it, because bottom line, my job is to help her be and become a loving, productive, independent, and emotionally well-rounded human being. And I can do that by loving her, listening to her, supporting her, and cheering her on. But you know what? I'm not the only person who can help her become that person. Friends will help her develop into that too. Because with friendship, she gets to learn how to love people. She gets to learn how to be independent with people. And the experiences that she has with her friends will teach her about love and heartbreak and resilience. As a mom, I know how important it is for her to have those experiences, even when they're hard. Because here's the truth. All parents experience pain on behalf of their children's social lives. It's inescapable, really, because we just want them to have the best, most positive experience possible. But in so many ways, parents are kind of helpless when it comes to our kids and their relationships with others, friendships, because we cannot make friends for our child. This is something they have to do themselves. But here's something that's really important to me. I would rather my kids focus on being a friend instead of having a friend. Why? Because being a friend is something they can control. It's something that's going to reward them greatly. It's going to give them a sort of generosity of spirit as they look for ways to be a good friend. And naturally, guess what? People are attracted to that kind of light. It's easier to have friends when you are friendly. But as a parent, you might be wondering, is there anything tangible I can do to help my kids make friends and keep them, especially as they wade through the waters of middle school when everything seems to be changing? Mom, I get it. I hear your heart and I absolutely love it. Let's break this down bit by bit and see if we can find some solutions for you. So, where do kids learn to be good friends anyway? They learn this from their parents. I'm going to start out with the good news. You have already taught your child how to be a good friend because if you think about it, in a way, you were your child's first friend. Social researchers say that the quality of a child's first emotional attachment to another human being, usually their mother, determines how well they attach to other human beings, like friends. A child who's securely attached to their mother kind of feels like mom is their safe harbor. When they're close by her, they're safe. And over time, as mom stays consistent with her presence, they feel more comfortable venturing out by themselves for longer periods of time because they're confident mom is going to be there when they get back. They learn how enjoyable it can be to trust another person. So, no matter what your child is going through right now, whether the seas feel calm or choppy, I want you to know that you've already done so much to help your child succeed in friendship. When they came into the world, you gave them a loving, safe place to begin venturing out from. And that is not a small thing. Not every child has that. But by virtue of listening to this podcast right now, I know your child has someone who cares about them and about their emotional safety and well being. That is huge because these are qualities that promote good friendships. They will be a friend and make friends who are kind, loving, loyal, and trustworthy because you have shown them what a person who is kind, loving, loyal, and trustworthy looks like. Okay, but let's flip that on its head. What does it look like if a child experiences what researchers call insecure attachment? If they didn't have caregivers at the beginning of their lives who are consistently present for them, I bet you'll recognize this behavior in some adults you know. When this child tries to make a friend, they might be bossy, demanding, or rude. They might think their peers are a source of fear or a threat to them, and they might withdraw and avoid relationships with others entirely out of perceived self protection. If a kid expects to be rejected by their peers, they might lash out first in an attempt to protect themselves emotionally, thus driving that person away and receiving the rejection they anticipated. It's heartbreaking to hear this, but it sounds familiar, doesn't it? But you know what? Every kid has ups and downs here, no matter the kinds of attachments they experienced when they were little. A kid will steal their toy, a friend will betray a secret. But what happens in those moments is that a kid with solid foundation of good attachments will have the muscle memory to remember that most people are good and the world is still a safe place, even though bad stuff happens sometimes. And that's the kind of resilience that's going to take your kid far. And P.S. Kids who start out with shaky attachments can learn how to have healthy and flourishing relationships. They are not lost causes. There is hope for them. They just have some unlearning and learning to do. The Simplified podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices and the path forward isn't always clear. Whether it's how to be the best parent for my girls or figuring out how to balance my career with being the best mom, wife, daughter, friend I can be, figuring out what to do on any given day can feel like a lot. And whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. So let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/simplified today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/simplified. Guys, we're gearing up to go back to school soon, and I'm trying to transition us back to a normal routine. And that includes getting dinner on the table with maybe a few less popsicles. That's why I'm already putting Green Chef into our weekly dinner rotation. Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating clean, with dinners that work for you, not the other way around. Feel your best this August with seasonal recipes featuring certified organic fruits and vegetables, organic cage-free eggs, and a sustainably sourced seafood. During the busy back-to-school season, you can cut down on meal prep with Green Chef's pre-portioned and prepped ingredients, including pre-measured sauces, spices, and dressings, all delivered right to your door. Lately, our family has been loving the baked ricotta chicken with pesto green beans, the creamy cilantro chicken salad, which is so yummy after a day by the pool, and the Italian beef stuffed peppers. Guys, you need to get on this goodness. So go to greenchef.com/simplified50 and use code simplified50 to get 50% off plus free shipping. One more time, go to greenchef.com/simplified50 and use code simplified50 to get 50% off plus free shipping. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating clean. This blew my mind when I found out, but did you know over 80% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about? Seriously, think of how many free trials you subscribe to that you've probably never canceled. That's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. This is the time of year I start trimming little things out of the budget that we don't need anymore so that we can save up some cash on school supplies and, let's be real, the upcoming holidays. Rocket Money reminded me about the hiking app that we won't be using much when the cold weather hits, and even a white noise app I had forgotten I signed up for. They canceled those subscriptions for me in just a few clicks. So easy. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/simplified. That's rocketmoney.com/simplified. rocketmoney.com/simplified. Also, there is a difference between the way girls and boys make and keep friends. Of course, there are absolutely exceptions to this, and I don't want to gender stereotype just for the sake of it. But I want to tell you something I learned from the Raising Boys and Girls podcast with Sissy Goff and David Thomas. They have been child counselors for more than 30 years, and I know they do their best to report A, things they've confirmed with scientific research, or B, things they've seen in their counseling offices over 3 decades of work. First, they say that often that girls ask too much of their relationships and boys don't ask enough. For example, let's say a child's parents are going through a divorce. Girls and boys tend to respond to something like this differently. A boy, for example, might ask his parents not to tell their teachers about the divorce, and he certainly won't tell his friends about it. From an early age, boys struggle with this messaging that they have to be strong and self-reliant, which leads them to suppress their feelings and what they're struggling with. Their knee-jerk reaction in cases like these is to hold it in, not seek help in a community. That breaks my heart a little. It explains so much why little boys who learn to suppress their feelings early grow into men who continue to do the same. Now, let's switch gears. Girls tend to do the opposite. Girls might lean toward setting best friend status on connections that are more at the acquaintance level. I'm going to tell you everything about myself, and I expect you to do the same. And that means we're best friends. And you can't do this to someone else, or we're not best friends. They expect this really deep, intimate level of connection with someone they don't know that well, on someone who hasn't earned their trust. And as an adult woman, we know what can happen in these kinds of scenarios. I'm going to give some advice here because I'm well steeped in girl world. If your girl does this, you might want to help her reset her expectations of what it looks like to be a friend to someone. You might teach her there are different levels of friendship. Explain what a best friend is and what an acquaintance is, and perhaps what kinds of expectations she can place on each person. What's a normal level of connection? I think the point is to show them that not everybody has to be their best friend. That's not the goal of connection. The goal of connection is to say, oh, wow, it's cool that we share the same kinds of thoughts and feelings, or that we enjoy the same kinds of things. We have this thing in common. Not everyone needs to be in the extreme of we are either best friends or we're not friends at all. No, ma'am. I need to tell myself that sometimes, even as an adult. And then there's popularity. I'm not going to dwell too long here because, of course, we all remember and know that popularity is something that's real at this age. The importance of popularity in friendship peaks for girls in sixth and seventh grade. For boys, it's around eighth to ninth grade. And then what happens in high school? I don't know about your high school, but in mine, I mean, we still had the kids who were well liked, but it wasn't this kind of cruel ranking system of you're popular or you're not. People just sort of mixed and mingled and made friends. Kids need to know that they do not have to be popular to be liked or to be valued, but having a true friend, that's a really valuable thing to have. So, what if your kid experiences conflict with another person? This is something kids need to know now. You're going to have conflict. Every relationship, whether it's with a parent or a friend, is going to have conflict because people are always going to have different ideas for how to live and move forward. And most of the time, you can work out your conflict and your relationship is going to be fine. We know this as adults because we've done it a billion times. But for kids, conflict can feel kind of earth shattering because they've never gone through it and been to the other side knowing everything can remain intact. So when your kid experiences conflict with a friend, the best way for them to resolve conflict is to allow them to resolve that conflict by themselves, if at all possible. Did that make you squirm a little bit? It did for me. It's a tricky balance, isn't it? I don't want my girls to get hurt, but I also want them to feel like they're capable of solving a problem. And if I step in for every little thing, that tells them in a subconscious way, sweetie, you just can't handle this. And that is not a message I want any of them to internalize. Listen, can I school a fifth grader or a fifth grader's mom? Heck yes, I can. But I do not need to do that. It is so much better for Addison to learn how to move through these kinds of sticky situations on her own if she can. I mean, I couldn't leave her to do this when she was 3 because 3-year-olds are monsters and would resort to beating each other up. But she's growing up and she's learning how to use her words. She's learning that even the best of friends can let you down sometimes, or that she will let someone down. But she's also learning that that's not the end of the world. And that is what grace is for. And we all need it sometimes. So, what do you, as the mom, do here? First, I'd caution you, manage your own anxiety in this situation. And oh my word, is that hard? But try not to overreact. Instead of telling your child what to do initially to solve their problem, try to be a little bit more open. Ask some questions like, honey, how are you thinking about handling this situation? What are you going to do? Then listen to what she says. Support her ideas. And if you can offer a suggestion, gently do so, but let her guide her own solutions here if you can. When these kinds of conflicts arise, it's hard to admit sometimes, but this is something she is starting not to need me for anymore, which is wonderful for her and hard for me, but it makes me so, so proud. So, mama, you may be wondering, what's your role in helping your child make and keep friends anyway? How much do you intervene as a parent? What can you do to support your child when things are tough on the friendship side? I'm thinking of kids in middle school here. By this age, I'm sure you remember wanting to do so many things on your own and how much you'd cringe if your mom dropped you off at school dance or the movies by getting out of the car and walking you to the place. Oof, the struggle was real. You just wanted to be on your own. You wanted to be your own person without your mom being nearby. And that's so normal. Here's the thing, and I've learned this from a child psychologist named Dr. Michael Thompson, and it's so, so good. Parents who hover over a kid, even if they're being loving and supportive, are accidentally taking away the psychological ownership of the experience for that child. Let me say that again. Parents who are hovering over a kid are taking away the psychological ownership of that experience for a child. Remember the whole cringing when your parent dropped you off situation? That's why. Because kids being able to step out into the world at developmentally appropriate times is really good for them. Kids learning to navigate these situations on their own builds strength and resilience. It's like a baby bird leaving the nest. They flap their little wings and they may be wobbly at first, but after a bit of practice, they find their strength in their wings and begin to soar. So, what does that mean? For most kids, that means maybe we don't ask them about their friendships every single day of their lives. We don't fish for what went wrong every day. We let them come to us when it's appropriate. Instead, when your kid is talking to you about having a tough time, instead of intervening on their behalf, you can listen emphatically. You can stay confident in them. You can remember and relate your own experiences in childhood to your child, and you can remind them how much you love them. I know it seems so inadequate, but it's not. It's hugely powerful. The fact that your child has a parent in their corner who's working so hard to listen to them and support them is huge. And P.S., I promise that kids are resilient, and we need to give them the opportunity to discover and experience their own resilience. That builds so much confidence in them and peace of mind in us. Listen, I could talk about this topic for hours and hours, but I'm going to stop it here for today. And if you have any experiences or ideas you want to share with us about your own experience here, leave us a comment in today's Instagram post. I think we could all learn a bit from your wisdom here. All right, y'all, let me say a blessing over you as you get ready to get back to your day. Mama, I hope you remember that you're doing a great job. And that's because you've already done some pretty good work in the past. You've given life and love to your child, a listening ear, a warm hug, clean sheets, and a full belly. You've shown them what it means to love and trust another person. And those are some of the most beautiful gifts anyone could receive. They're so lucky to have you as their mom. This is the part of the episode where we usually give you a little tip you can tuck into your pocket and take with you. So here's what I've got for you today. Listen, I know this is a tough subject to deal with. And when I come up against something this tough, I go research to see if I can find some good solutions. Some resources you might want to check out are the Raising Boys and Girls podcast, and also the book called Best Friends, Worst Enemies, Understanding the Social Lives of Children by Dr. Michael Thompson. I'd start there just to see if you can recognize your kid in any of these or even yourself. I bet you can find some tips that might help your family thrive. Hey, thanks for listening to the Simplified podcast. You can find show notes for this episode over at onlylay.com for more info on links and resources I mentioned here, and you can shop the entire collection of Simplified planners and products. You can also follow me on Instagram at Laura Kashner and follow our brand Simplified for tons of simplicity tips and inspiration to get you through the day. Thanks for being here, you guys. If you want conversations like this every week, click the follow button on our show wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you liked what you heard today, leave a review. That helps other people find the show too. That's all I've got for you today. Be sure to tune in next week for more simplified goodness. Until next time, I hope you have a great day.